Defensive line. It's getting better. It's getting better and better every single week.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So the Oklahoma Sooners defensive line has been a strength for this team. One area where it might be getting better is in the pass rush. In particular, we saw this last week. R. Mason Thomas continued to step up. When we had Matt, I'm blanking on PFF guy that we had on last week. Max on. Yeah, Max Chadwick on last week. He talked about good pass rushers, elite pass rushers have pass rush win rates of 20 to 30%. What was R. Mason Thomas's pass rush win rate against Auburn? It's 20%. It was Trace Ford's 25%. Grayson Halton sitting at 16% on a pass rush win rate. R. Mason Thomas had 5 total pressures in that game. You had 18 total pressures as a team against Auburn. Against an athletic Peyton Thorne.
That's crazy. And even if Quinn plays, right? You know, he's got that abdomen situation, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know if you want him to be getting chased around and taking hits. John, you know the craziest thing about the way that we've played so far? It's kind of wild that we have 18 sacks this season, John. Crazy. I think we had, 23 all of last year? Like all of the season?
Yeah.
We've got 18 already, and this is the 5th game of the season. This defense has completely changed, right? Like that was the big complaint I used to heard from people on my channel all last year. We're not getting enough sacks. And so we had Isaiah Cole come on and he said, yeah, we're not getting the sacks that we want, but what we're doing is by getting our hands up like we have, we're able to disrupt a lot of passes, which has led to a lot of those interceptions, in which we was, second in the nation in interceptions with over 20. That's a huge number, right? So we haven't got as many interceptions this year as we did last. This year, we've only got 5 picks in comparison, but we've also caused more fumbles. And so I talk about with some of the tackling, if you notice the way the defensive line tackles, the edges, the D tackles, even the linebackers, when they come in, they all swipe down on their hit. Like, so it's a boom whenever they're tackling, but they're still wrapping up. So what that does is it slaps at the ball while also making sure that they're not missing the tackle and doing arm tackles, and they're going straight through the guys. That's where some of those fumbles are coming from. It's where those loose balls are coming from. The Trace Ford fumble where he came around on Nico Iamaleava. He came around and he slapped down immediately on his wrist and the ball flies out. Mm-hmm. We're doing a lot of that, John, and that to me is probably the biggest strength of this defensive line is they're getting a combination. They're hitting people, they're slowing people down, and they're causing turnovers. I'm thoroughly impressed with what Chavis and Todd Bates have got going on this year.
Yeah, and Zach Alley's pressure packages have been really, really nice. I mean, how many times have we seen a blitzer come free and get an opportunity, whether it's Robert Spears-Jennings or Kendall Dolby before he got injured? You've seen several times where a blitzing defensive back has come unblocked, or a blitzing, even in the run blitzes.
Right.
Like Danny Stutzman had a couple this past game where, or at least one, maybe it was early in the game, and they dialed up a run blitz. Maybe it was that first series of the game. They dialed up a run blitz and absolutely stuffed whatever rush attempt that they had. You said 18 sacks through 5 games. And I know a lot of people would sit there and be like, oh, the Temple game, they had a bunch of sacks, and they played Houston and Tulane, blah, 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 blah. Well, against Houston, I don't remember if they registered a sack. And if they did, they did. No, I don't know. It was maybe late in the game if they did.
I think we got it late in the game, but I'm going to verify real quick.
But 40%, 38.8% of their sacks have come in the last 2 weeks. So against Nico and Tennessee and against Auburn, you've had 7 of those 18 sacks. That's a really strong number. So
2 sacks against Houston. We had 2 sacks. That was by Dominic got his first one. I remember that. And Grayson Halton got one as well.
Yeah.
So we had 2 sacks.
You had several at the end of the game against Tulane. But you had 3 last week against Nico, or not last week, but the week before, and week 4 against Nico. You had 4 this week against Peyton Thorne. And so, I think your pass rush is starting to kind of hit its stride as you get into the most significant part of your season. So much of what Oklahoma wants to be about is stopping the run on the early downs, getting teams into third and long situations where guys like R. Mason Thomas and Grayson Halton can just get after the passer. They don't have to worry about playing the run. They can just rush to a spot and put pressure on the quarterback. If Oklahoma is able to do that moving forward, it's going to make it really, really tough to throw on this team and to beat them because they have some legit pass rushers. And R. Mason Thomas, I mean, that dude's got a chance to turn himself into a top 100, if not a top 50 pick in the NFL draft because of his traits. All he needs is the production to go along with it. And all he's needed to be was healthy to get that production. And now we got a healthy R. Mason Thomas, and he's starting to show that he's got that elite ability to rush the passer.
Yeah, and we're right now tied for 6th in tackles for loss at 40 in the country, right? This last year we were tied for 11 in the season with 98. We're at 40 now, and we may finish the season with over 100 easily, right? 40 in 5 games, 8 of those per game, and we've got how many games left? We've got 7 games left. So that's an additional, 50? If we stay on average, that's another,
56.
Another 56. That puts us at about 96. I think we can up that number and finish the season over 100. That's my guess.
And
I think we can.
That's assuming you only average 8 tackles for loss. Yeah, per game.
It's only if you average 8. And the way that we play, we did a really good job of reading what the offense is bringing to us, and we're getting back there to get stops in the backfield. Yep. I mean, we did well in that position even against Auburn, right? Like, I thought the defense played okay in that game, but overall, I mean, when you really look at it, besides some of the explosive plays that we haven't allowed too many of, but we've allowed it 1, which to me 1 is too many. We finished with 8 tackles for loss in that game, right? Auburn only had 4, which that honestly surprised the heck out of me. I thought they had more. It felt like we weren't going anywhere. They were just stopping us at the line and we were falling for 1 yard. But we got 8 in that game. And we were really pushing them back and making it really tough on them, even though they were still running. They ran for in that game, about 144 yards combined. That run defense, John, that line is doing it.
And that's going to be what's key against Texas is you're going to give up some explosives to that team. They're really, really good with Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden. Like, that's a really, really good passing offense, group of wide receivers, Jonte Cook. I mean, they're really good. Limit those explosives, slow the run game down, put them in situations where either Arch or Quinn have to throw from 3rd and 7+. And I like our chances. Easier said than done, but with the way Oklahoma's been playing the run this year, they're going to put Texas in some bad spots. And we saw a year ago, Oklahoma's defense able to put them in bad spots, force turnovers, and that ultimately is what helped them win the game. So, and this is a better Oklahoma defense than what we had a year ago, right?
Much better.
Much better. And we still got quite a few days to sit and talk OU Texas. We'll get into that more as we go through the week. And next week, we'll continue to just kind of give you a brief just feel for how we're feeling about each position group as we go through the bye week, kind of do a little bit of a Oklahoma Sooners reset. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sooners wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that notification bell and that subscribe button to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. Check out his channel, Unfair Sports. Check out my work over at Sooners Wire, SoonersWire.com. Follow the show at Locked On Sooners on Facebook, X/Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you like to be on social media, and share it with your friends. Share it with your colleagues. Tell people about Locked On Sooners and tell them to subscribe to the show. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.